So on today's episode of Sign This Please, I am so happy to have not only a friend of mine, right? Not only a homie,
a brother,
but a friend of the podcast and one of the guys in my life that just pushed me to get this thing started. And now here we are. We're in the studio. We're getting it done. It is what it is. My brother from another mother. Miguel Rodriguez.
My man, the Jizza. Paul Gisvaldi, the Jizza
Moose.
in my phone. Let's get it.
My man Moose.
Let's get it, bro. I'm
Welcome.
proud of you. Proud of
Welcome,
you.
my man.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm
you got
here.
here.
We got here.
You got here.
But you had to be episode number one.
Ah, man. Thank you.
You had
I
to be
appreciate
episode
you.
number one.
I
my man.
appreciate you,
I can't
brother.
thank you enough
Come on.
for pushing me to get to this point, for getting us to where we are. But we got some cool stuff to talk about on this episode.
Absolutely, because you pushed me to do that. What's behind you? So
No doubt. And I cannot wait to get after this. I cannot wait to introduce this audience to this journey, this piece of history that you have in your possession. So first of all, tell everybody about yourself. Introduce yourself to the masses, the millions of people that are listening to us right now, watching us on YouTube.
The millions. Lo millones. So I'm Miguel Rodriguez, a.k.a. 2_ the National, a.k.a. Hall of Fame guy. Dominican, grew up, born and raised in New York City. Took a detour in the middle of life. Got engaged, married, and have resided in Connecticut for the last almost 25 years. So I'm 53, and in the last decade, I met Paul. We were in the same industry, in the sporting goods world. And I don't know, we clicked, and we started just randomly like, hey, I'm leaving my room early. Here's my room key. Ask your wife and daughter if they want to come out.
Want to use the swimming pool.
Yes, we'll use the pool. So it started there, even though we were competitors with in two different industries. Then we were in the same industry. And then we actually worked together for a quick minute with the current company that Paul works for. But one day we were just talking about different things in sports and life. And when he found out that I had this piece of history that's behind him, the Basketball Hall of Fame, the original sign that was outside of the original Hall of Fame on the campus of Springfield College, he was like, dude, you got to get this thing autographed. And this guy used to work for Steiner Sports. He's the king of autographs in my book. In terms of having the best athletes, I would say, in our era that we grew up with a lot of them, and some living legends that are no longer here with us.
We'll definitely get to that.
And we'll get to that
Definitely touch on that a little
in future episodes with Paulie. But he actually helped me realized that what I did have was a piece of history. I just had it up on a wall for 7 years. And yeah, that's why we're here now. You know, we got some autographs here. And we've been to a couple of nationals together. I think 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Yep. So Atlantic City, Chicago, and then this year Cleveland.
Which hopefully it'll never go back to Cleveland.
Right. And then we're going back-to-back Chicago. But I'm sorry.
3 straight, I believe.
3 straight.
I believe the next 3 are in Chicago.
Okay. That'd be great. And a Fanatics Fest.
Let's not forget Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, Fanatics Fest.
Gotta give a shout out to Fanatics Fest, because you know what? They did it right.
Absolutely.
They did it right. It's hard to say.
Yes. I'm sorry that I went from intro into almost, pulling it all out. But
it is what it is. But yes, we do have to give a shout out to Fanatics Fest. You guys, you knocked it out of the park. It was good. It was good.
Paulie, I know you asked me, tell the audience, the millions, about myself, but what about you?
What about me?
Yes.
I'm just a simple guy that was born and raised in New York. I'm here doing this podcast because of one simple thing, the pandemic. The pandemic left us in a place where we were in our homes, right? We were all locked in. Don't go outside. It's crazy. So I had moved so many times after I got divorced. I was in this one particular place during the pandemic, and I started going through boxes to just literally throw stuff out. I was going through it, and I'd pull something out of the box, and I'd be like, oh, I remember this. It was an autographed Ron Guidry photo, whatever it was. And I'd be like, oh, there's a story behind that. And that next box was it was a Rob Dibble signed baseball. Oh, that's got a heck of a story. And I just started pulling pieces out that I just really forgot that I had. And I called a friend of mine who has a podcast, and I said, Matt, what do I do? I have all these stories. My kids don't even know these stories. And the next thing you know, he's like, listen, it'd be a real simple move for you to just start a podcast and just tell the stories. Because there's so many stories behind the pieces that I have and had that I listen, it's the fourth quarter of 2024, and here we are. It's like 4 years later, 3.5, 4 years later. And I just been hemming and hawing. And I've got stories for days. And with the athletes that I've been with and the things that I've seen, whether it's at a show or at a signing or the conversations that have taken place between these athletes and myself, or just being in the room when they're having a conversation with a former teammate or somebody they played with or against, and just hearing the stories. It's when you go to the shows, you see the blue pipe and drape, and everybody's always trying to peek behind the pipe and drape. Well, I've been behind the pipe and drape, and I know guys that have been behind the pipe and drape, and we've got stories to tell. And the public should know these stories. They should know about who's a real cool guy that you may not know about, and who's on the other end of the spectrum that you would be shocked to hear that this is how this guy treats somebody and asks them to get a glass of orange juice. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
Reason why I wore that number too.
We'll get to that later.
Absolutely.
But seriously, I mentioned it a little bit ago. I want to thank you for being one of the three guys that really pushed me to, Paul, you got to do this. You got to do this. It's between you, my guy Sam Hollander, which we'll get introduced to in later episodes, and Matt Del Negro. Any of you out there that are listening to the podcast, 10,000 knows I'm going to give Matt a plug. Matt has been integral in getting me to sit here at this microphone in front of this camera and get this thing rolling. And Matt knows, and Matt's a lifelong friend as well. By all means, please go listen to his podcast as well. But enough of that, enough of the history, enough of that fun stuff. Let's get to this magical thing behind me that, I did kind of put my hand on your back. And like there's something to this. This piece has such an amazing story to it. It's got nostalgia. It's got history. And it's just a sign. What are we talking about? We're talking about 5.5 by 4-ish, whatever, you know what I mean? What are we talking? We're talking 6 feet?
3.5 feet by 5.5 feet.
And the history behind this, I'll call it small. It's not small when you're lugging it through a crowd of 5,000 people trying to get to an autograph table, but
absolutely.
Moose, tell these guys,
right.
what are we looking at? Like, I'm going to kind of slide a little bit out of the way,
yeah,
so
of
people
course,
can
of course.
kind of
No, you stay in the frame. It's all good.
Can kind of get a little bit of it.
What I think what we'll do is we'll slide you out at the end so that we could talk about each and every.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've been there for most of them.
Each one of them has a story.
It does.
Each one of them has a story,
Absolutely.
and I definitely want to talk about it. But
so
tell everybody what this is.
Okay, so this is the original sign that was in front of the Basketball Hall of Fame from 1968 when it opened, up until the Hall of Fame outgrew the space at Springfield College and moved out in 1985. So this beautiful piece right here, I was able to find it on Craigslist. Expired listing.
That's
it
crazy.
said 5 weeks ago.
This part's
And this is about 8 years. And so 8 years ago, it's late at night. You got your cell phone. You can't sleep. Hey, you know what? What'll tire me out? Oh, let me go on Craigslist. So I type in NBA and NCAA game shorts. So I'm looking for game shorts at 1:30 in the morning.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, he does have a collection of NBA and NCAA game shorts. I seen them.
Yeah. So, you got to coordinate with your footwear. So that's the reason why. So,
And I get it.
And I got the footwear to back it. But
That's a New York City thing for all you people that are out there in, in Oklahoma somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
The footwear's got to match the outfit.
Without a doubt, you got to coordinate. So
got to have the mushroom belt.
Yes.
For those of you that don't understand.
And the inside liner.
If you know, you know.
So I'm going through, and now I'm going through listings that have that are no longer active. So 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I get up to the 5th week, and I see the sign. And I'm like, wow, damn, this didn't sell. Maybe it sold. I wasn't sure. So I send out an email. I copy and paste. Sometimes it's pretty hard on Craigslist to do that. So I go, let me take the listing and let me take the email that's indicated and send it out. So I send it out. 6 months later, I get an email one day, and it says, are you still interested? With no other reference. So the only reason why I responded to it was because it was like a normal person's email. So I said, all right, let me respond back. Interested in what? So he goes, oh, I still have the sign. So I said, wow. So how much? Because there was no price on the listing. So he goes, make me an offer. So it started at 100? No. 125? No. 150? No. So I'm like, goodness, this guy's probably going to ask like 500 on the next one. So out of nowhere, he goes, if you could pick it up north of Worcester by tomorrow by 9 a.m., I will sell you the sign for $200. So let me tell you, I drove up there crazy early from my home in North Haven, Connecticut, and I got there at 8 a.m. because I was like, there's no way. There's going to be no accident that's going to prevent me from getting to get this sign. There's nothing that's going to stop me. So I get there. I walk up 3 flights, pick up the sign. This gentleman acquired the sign from his father-in-law who used to work at Springfield College, and he was in maintenance. And the reason why the sign is still alive is because this individual used to pick up knickknacks when buildings or classrooms were getting cleaned out. And he had his spot in his garage that he just said, you know what, I might need this one day. And he just had a stash of stuff. And when he retired, he reached out to his son-in-law, and the son-in-law was like, okay, comes to the garage, kind of sees something white, and that's how it got from Springfield College to his office in Worcester.
But now hold on, there was not just one sign.
No.
There were 2.
There were 3.
3?
Yes. So
yeah, I'm learning something new. I thought there were 2.
Okay, there's a third one. So the 2 signs were side by side on a brick inlay. The third sign hung above the front door with a flagpole above it, and that was also discarded as well. So all 3 signs go into a dumpster, and 2 of them were basically mangled, and this is the only one that survived. And he took the best of the 3. Everything else stayed in the dumpster.
Now, for those of you that are watching, you can't see the detail. The sign is metal, okay? None of this has been touched up. There are scratches. Mm-hmm. There are scrapes, okay? There's some wear and tear on this bad boy. I believe there's a coffee stain, too.
Yeah, the coffee stain.
The coffee stain might have gotten worn off at some point.
There's some above Mr. Scott, off to the right above his name. There you go. There's some coffee stain.
So
I try to keep it OG. Which is to the left of Bernard King, right above the red, a little something, a little scuff.
Mark.
Yep.
So it's got some charisma to it.
Yeah,
we'll call it charisma.
I try to keep it as original as how I got it. If you look at the back side, it's all dusty. I've not taken any of the dust off the back.
We're working on that.
We're working on a special protective case for it, a travel case. But every time I've bought the sign, initially I didn't have a vehicle that was wide enough in the back to actually transport it. So Paulie did the trek on the first couple of trips, a couple of signings, and he went out of his way. So just imagine driving an hour out of your way to help your buddy secure autographs with the sign in person instead of like mailing it out, because mailing it out is just That we can't lose that, you know, with all the things that get stolen now today, USPS, FedEx, UPS. I'm sorry if you wanted to sponsor Paulie, but, you know,
apparently
things
that's
get
out
lost
the
in the
window.
mail. Out the window.
Those sponsorships are gone, thanks.
But in terms of the story, you know, I photo matched everything. I reached out to Springfield College. One of the first statements that was made to me when I got Jim Calhoun, who was the first individual to sign it. And those of you who know me, I'm not a big UConn fan at all. I despise UConn. But after speaking to him, I thought he was great. And I was like, I would probably run through a brick wall right now for you because he was the most genuine, appreciative individual I ever met in my life. Like that 30 minutes that he gave me was, yeah, you know, that adds to the love of the sign.
Of course.
When I see that auto,
Of course.
even though he didn't put like he's like Allen Iverson, he didn't put the year. He did ask though, but I didn't know if I wanted HOF in the year.
This is because Paul wasn't there.
Yeah, if you were
Paul
there,
didn't go
don't
to
worry,
the
it
first
just gives
one.
me another opportunity to ask him, or you know, to put his Hall of Fame induction year. But
so the ultimate
yes.
goal is
Yes.
what?
So there's 183
That number's changed.
living. Yes,
That number
we're down to
has changed
183 with
recently.
Dikembe passing. Rest in peace, Deke. With Dikembe's passing, there's 183 Hall of Famers that are still living, and
Including this year's class.
including this year's class. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to obtain an autograph from every single living Hall of Famer that's still walking this earth, that's able to sign the sign. And I will travel to them, no matter where they are in the world, in order to obtain that. On the heels of...
How far along are we?
so we have, I believe, it's 16 autos right now. And so we can minus the 16 from the 183, right? And the last one to sign was Bobby Jones last week in Philadelphia at the Philly show. That was a very impromptu last minute out of nowhere. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it there, but he was there, and he gave me his time, and he was great. And he's going to be on, he's one of the presenters this year. So someone felt the Minister of Defense was worthy of being at the Hall of Fame.
Without question.
Yes, yes.
What's it? I know the answer to the question, but what's it like trying to get this thing around the country? I mean, you've gotten this thing as far west as Chicago.
Yeah.
You got it to Cleveland,
Yep.
right?
You got it to Philly.
Been to Philly,
Yeah.
Jersey,
Mass.
Mass.
Mass. Yeah,
Like-
you helped me on that one because I drove back from Toronto.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, electric car, went to the Toronto show. Dennis Rodman was at that show, but I knew he was going to have a lot of people wanting his autograph. So I said, you know what, let me go get his... Charlie Scott, let me get, who else? Gary Payton, he was there as well. So let me get these guys at that show. And I had a better experience with Dennis because when he saw the wristband, he was like, you were in Toronto yesterday? You didn't get I said, I couldn't bring it up there. It wouldn't fit in my car. So I get back, I shower. Paulie's like 10 minutes out, and I'm like showering real quick.
Literally
I slept
got
on
back.
the road. I slept on the road, and I was so excited to go with Paulie up there to get a couple of these players, and just thinking about them, and just thinking about you know, that drive to Canada, coming back. My buddy, you know, my ace in the hole, swapping out cars. He had to swap out cars with his daughter because his vehicle doesn't fit it either.
Right.
So, and stinks on gas, but. He's been very instrumental in getting this project, which I kind of have called it the One of None Tour. And I have a good friend I want to give a shout out to, who, while I was driving and you were at the game in Pittsburgh, because the Cleveland National, the Pirates were in town and you wanted to see the Pirates play. So I was supposed to meet up with Paulie, but I woke up 2 hours late. The alarm didn't go off. My watch was dead, so I was like, okay, yeah, I got my watch. It'll go off. So that thing died. So I wake up, and I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to be like an hour and a half behind him. And I bought so much stuff. You know, I bought jerseys, this, that, and the third. I didn't want to miss anything. I bought cards that I needed to get graded at the show. But thinking about what it was going to be like going out there with the sign And knowing that, I have my ace in the hole plus his cousin who came out. But the one person I want to give a shout out to, his name is Jeff Sims. He's a great illustrator, graphic artist on the corporate side. Every once in a blue moon, I'll tell him, hey, this is what I'm doing. So then he created something within 10 minutes, and I didn't even have to give him any. I just said, you're the creative guy. I'm just the idea guy, and you just run with it. And Jeff, he has really helped me, and he doesn't know this yet, but he's going to work on a sign logo for me for Hall of Fame guy. So I want to be the Latino version of the other guy that holds up the sign. So I have a real sign. He has his cardboard with all his amazing sayings, but that's one thing I want to tackle, Paulie, is just getting more autographs and just being able to partner up with the Hall of Fame. If you're listening, I know this is a big week for you guys. Next week, everyone comes down. We had a couple of unfortunate passings in the last year. Bill Walton, Mr. McGinnis, who played for the Sixers, Deke, Dikembe Mutombo.
We're going to talk about the logo.
Yeah,
we're going
to get to that. Logo. Oh, yeah.
We're going to get to that. Tell everybody who do we have so far?
Okay,
These
so
20 or so people.
So we have Gary Payton to the right, Walt Clyde Frazier, Chauncey Billups.
This year's class.
Charlie Scott. Let's see here. We got David Thompson. Bobby Jones right behind you. And that's how you're supposed to sign, nice and small. You put his number there. We got Calhoun up top. Bernard King. Amazing story that we have that I don't even know if we can discuss.
I don't even know if we can discuss that.
James Worthy. Paulie has a great time with him. The first dream teamer to sign the sign, Chris Mullen. And on the other side, we have Dominique Wilkins. Artis Gilmore. Dennis Rodman with Gold Bulls. And last but not least, this is when...
We should give something away if somebody can... Somebody watches this, and the first person that says...
The first person that can figure out who was the person that autographed that signature down on the left. Let's see, what do I give them? I'll give you an autograph card. How about that? I will give you an autograph card from a Hall of Famer. I'll make sure I get a Hall of Famer to sign one. I just can't give him that big 5x7 Gary Payton game worn, That's going to be for scavenger hunt. So that's one thing I'd like to do is do some scavenger hunts for some of the fans that aren't able to travel as freely as I can now with some of the things that have happened in life over the last year and a half, 2 years. But I think this is having the sign, but then having the impetus to be like, hey, Miguel, this is something like it's beyond special. I had it hanging on a wall for 7 years.
It's one of a kind. It doesn't...
I know. The amount of players that we've lost in that time, from Bill Russell, going down the board. And I know we all have cell phones. Athletic departments, guess what? You would love for this piece of history to come into your school and have one of your alums or maybe a former coach or former player sign the sign. It speaks to the history of the game. When this sign was created, the sport was not the way it is today, where players are getting paid max deals of over $300 million. The sport wasn't set up that way. Another thing that I'd like to add before you get on to the next couple of questions, I want to give a shout out to the company that created the sign. And they are based in Springfield, Massachusetts. Their name is Agnelli, which is on the bottom right. I happened to stop by before I met Paulie at the Basketball Hall of Fame about 5 to 6 weeks ago. And we bought the sign to the hall. But prior to me meeting up with Paulie, I wanted to stop by the company and let them know that one of their pieces that they created is still in existence. It's still alive.
Still breathing.
So imagine a tall Latino in a very, very scary neighborhood walks into your office with a hoodie and sweatpants, and it was probably like 85 degrees that day.
It was pretty warm that day.
Pretty warm. And I'm like, hey, would you like to come to look at a piece of work you guys did in the back of my car?
50 years ago?
Yes. And they all looked at me like, okay.
What are you talking about?
So then, the second a gentleman stood up so that he could protect the ladies. At that point, they all walked
Protect
out.
the ladies.
And I opened up the trunk, and they said, "Holy blip." They were like shocked. They could not believe it. "Did you see that man that just left?" I was like, yeah. "Well, he's the son-in-law. He actually owns the business now." I said, "Okay. Can you come back later?" I was like, "Sure." So I went inside. They showed me around a little bit. And then I said, "Okay, I'll come back later after I go to the Hall of Fame and meet up with my buddy." So I end up going to the hall. You know, we talked to a couple of people. We give information. We exchange info. And the Hall of Fame is supposed to give me possibly a call back. But we'll circle back to that later after this podcast. But I go back to Ignali. The owner's there. His wife is there. He was surprised at the sign. He had never really seen it because he wasn't married to his wife yet. And what he said to me, which adds an additional wrinkle now to the sign, and I don't know how I feel about this, but maybe I have a veteran sign the back of it. And the reason being is the individual that created this sign was Mr. Agnali. It's actually hand-painted. That sign was hand-painted, freehand, by Mr. Agnali himself. And the tie-in with the military is that Mr. Agnali used to paint the bombers. They used to go out to war at Chicopee Air Force Base. So if anyone ever is in Western Mass and they see a bomber, it's not an illusion. It's not a fake news. It's actually a real bomber because they test them out and they touch down in Chicopee, whether they're deploying any type of machinery or tanks or whatever, and it flies out from there. But that's an additional wrinkle in regards to the sign, and they're looking for the original paperwork for all the signs that were created, and they said it might be in one or two warehouses, but they've been looking for it because now they're excited that this sign actually exists.
See? History.
Little curveball.
History.
Yep.
It's not just a piece of metal, people. You talked about getting all these getting all these guys, all these living members, the 183 that are still left. Who of the guys you did get to sign this? Who's cool? Who wasn't?
Well,
give me the coolest story. And I think I know who it is, but
the coolest story. Would it be the one that integrates you in the story?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
But I was there.
Damn. This is
I
tough.
think to me it was. Maybe to you it's a different story, but to me it was pretty cool. Like, who was excited? Who thought it was a cool piece? Like,
all right.
who thought?
So the most excited individual was Chris Mullen. Was that it? Okay. All right. Got it. So
it wasn't a right or wrong answer.
Yeah, I thought
it was just your opinion compared to my opinion.
So when
I know the story you're thinking of, but go ahead.
Okay, so I have the sign backwards. I always have it turned around.
But hold on, what do we always do?
We're always the last.
We
people
always go
that
last
ask for the
online.
last autograph. And there could be a guy
Always go
running the
last.
length of the football field, and I back up and I let that guy go. I wait for him to go, get his autograph.
And why do we do that?
Because
Little trade secret, folks.
we want to
Take your
get
notes.
the most time that we can with the athlete before they leave and that they can remember us, but also so that we could tell them the story of the sign and get that little extra, a little bit of the
It's an extra 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And again, I was there when we got to Chris, and just the look on his face when Miguel mentioned, hey, you're only one of 188 guys. I think it was 188 at the time.
Yeah, 188, yeah.
Only 188 guys in the world could sign this
in the
piece.
universe.
In the universe, sorry.
In the universe.
The universe is very, very large. And I don't know if it was excitement. I don't know if it was shock, maybe a little bit of both.
I think he felt honored.
Honored's probably a really good word. He was like kind of taken back a little bit. He was like, wow. And he was like, this is the original one? We were like, yeah, this isn't the one that's out there anymore.
Yeah.
This was the one back in the day. And he brought up Coach Carnesecca.
Yeah.
He's like, how are you going to get Coach Carnesecca to sign this? And the conversation just kind of steamrolled, and it was neat. It really was. It was fun. But
And then I had to let him know, I played against your brother in high school, Terrence. And he was like, oh, yeah, where'd you go? St. Ray's. I said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah. So, you know O? I was like, yeah, that's my cousin. Oh, Coach O's your cousin? So, yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So my cousin, for those of you who don't know, was on the staff on 2 separate occasions at Kentucky. When he first got there in 2009, and then when the team won the national title in 2012 when they beat Kansas, thank the Lord, in New Orleans. And then he became a head coach. He left after the defeat to UConn. Still upset about that. In 2014 in Houston. No, I'm sorry, in Dallas. And then he came back for the last 3 years with Coach Cal. And now when Coach Cal left for Arkansas, he is now at University of Illinois for a second stint. So can't wait to make it out there for a game. Haven't caught a game out there, so that'd be pretty cool.
Champagne.
Yeah, Champagne, yeah. If you want to pull up. They're playing at the Garden. They're playing at the Garden. Wink.
Give me the not so cool story.
Oof. But we can't name the person.
You can. We're not really giving away anything. If you
Okay,
if you get the
so
name right.
we're
going to give you the name.
We'll give you the name. So the autograph
this
in the
is
bottom
this is a
left.
pretty wild story.
So I'm really excited. Like, oh my goodness, it's coming off the.
Preface it by the fact that somebody was late to the event.
Oh yeah.
And we had to wait.
We had to wait. Yeah, and it was.
I'm not talking 15, 20 minutes. I'm talking 2 hours.
Yes. So.
And we'd been there all day already.
Yes. So we had been there all day, and we were there the day before.
Yeah, this was Sunday.
So we drove back. So we drove back to New Jersey, and we're waiting. So we finally are like, okay, there he is. Cool. We were trying to get the behind the curtain. Remember, we were behind the curtain. We were trying to get the little 2-minute, conversation. Maybe get a sign back there because we already had the ticket. And what happens? The entourage.
Oh, my God.
All the people that came with them, probably like 20.
Family.
Yeah, 20
friends,
people. Yeah, family, friends.
Relatives. Neighbors.
Social media people. Things
whoever.
like that.
It was crazy.
So I would say the most interesting part about that is that they were more excited about the sign than he was. So I don't know if it was because, he had a bad day or whatever, or it was coming on the heels 24 hours prior. The big Instagram, YouTube viral was the practice facility for the Sixers had unveiled a trophy of him. And they said that's how big he was, and the trophy was like the statue. It wasn't a trophy, it was a statue. But it was in a courtyard, so if you took a look at all the sizes of all the others, they were relative to size. Right. Yeah. Unless you're a 7-footer, like, well, maybe it was a little bit bigger, but it wasn't like a life size. So the entire internet trolled him, like really bad. He was probably shocked too.
And we're talking about who?
Allen Iverson. The answer, the reason, the question. Yeah, right? All the nicknames. But what a lot of people don't understand is my younger brothers, I have one in particular that played college basketball, and he patterned his crossover, which I posted up the other day. It was some grainy VHS footage, and he was wearing the shorts too. Mm-hmm. Authentic gamers from your boy. A little, like, probably 10 sizes too big for him, but he was wearing them.
He had the footwear too. Yeah, got mentioned on the clip.
Yeah.
They mentioned the footwear while he was on the free throw line.
Yeah. So he got that done too. But I was, after the interaction happened and he just dipped out like this, like it was like a screen and roll. His people are there and he's gone.
But again, let's talk about, here we are. We've waited all this time.
Okay. All right.
We're making our way through the line, and there's some people, and we're at the end.
Yes.
And at the turn of the pipe and drape is who?
His
aunt, sister.
Yeah, sister.
Mom,
sister.
cousin. Right. I don't know who this woman was. Sweetheart of a lady.
Mm-hmm.
She was amazing. She, like Moose said, his entourage was more impressed with the sign than he was.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. Oh, my. So she was, as we're online, Miguel's giving her the story.
Yep.
It's the sign, the original, papa.
And I even said that he had a pair of sneakers that were in East Bay that sold for $54,999. They had like diamond shoelaces, like a tennis bracelet. With Bubba or Chuck.
Chuck. She was calling him Chuck.
She was like, Chuck.
When we got up to the table, she starts yelling, Chuck, you gotta put your Hoff on that, Chuck. Put your Hoff on that. Make sure you put your Hoff. You know what that is?
Yep.
For those of you, Hoff is not the correct vernacular. That's a big word for me, by the way. It's not the correct vernacular for Hall of Fame. It's HOF.
Yes.
Is how you're supposed. She's yelling from 30 feet away.
Yes.
Put your Hoff on there, Chuck. Well, as you can see, Chuck didn't put his Hoff on there. And there was a couple of guys that were a little disappointed.
Disappointed? That was not the word. Because when I found out his social media person was there, I blasted him. And the reason why I blasted him...
Yeah, that was a tough conversation, I think, for both of you.
Yeah, I blasted him. There was nothing that he could say or do, even if you bought him back. First impressions, right? You only get one shot at making a first impression. And he blew it. And here I am, like, I waited all day, just like everyone else. I'm not trying
Chuck,
to...
put your Hoff.
Listen, I've been offered 6 figures for the sign, blank. And here I am. He gives me a look like he didn't even look up. It was almost as if when he gets everybody on this sign, he's going to get paid. And that's not why I'm doing this.
Right.
You know, a large part of my life has been following basketball, playing basketball when I was younger. The game has been good to my family. My cousin, makes a living from it, and he's really good at his job as an associate head coach. My younger brother played professionally overseas and made a living at it, while he was playing. And the joy, the excitement, the brotherhood that I've made with previous teammates and even different coaches, like guys that I played against who are head coaches now, like, Adrian Autry. Like, I'm seeing all the media stuff now for Syracuse. It's like, oh, man, that's my guy, Red. Played against him. We were able to beat him a couple times in high school, which was pretty cool. But I got to see him play when he was a sophomore with Malik Sealy, rest in peace. And, one of the greatest teams I've ever seen play. And then that epic final when they played Archbishop Malloy. Like, there's so many, there are members of the Hall of Fame that aren't NBA players, but you have FIBA players. You have coaches that have played at different levels. You even have, before women had professional, there was no W back in the day. So you have women that might have scored 3,000 points, 4,000 points,
sure,
but never played professionally. And I want to get those stories. I want to be able to have them see a sign that they might not have seen, So it's a privilege to be one of those individuals that are able to talk about the game and bring a piece of history with him and be able to have conversations in regards to, not every conversation is going to be the best, but I would say out of all of them, they all been great with the exception of one, but maybe it was a bad day. Woke up on the other side of the pillow, right?
Let's talk about you've mentioned the names of some of the guys that are no longer with us, that have recently, since this project has started, have passed, right? There's Jerry West, right?
That was tough.
Missing Jerry on this is huge.
Beyond.
I mean, when your nickname is the logo and the logo is you, that's a tough one. Obviously, there's Bill Walton. There's, we just lost Mutombo in the last week.
McGinnis, Russell.
Right. There's a pretty crazy Jerry West story that, again, he was supposed to be at a show in Connecticut.
No. You're supposed to be at the
Jersey show.
With
the Jersey show.
And Worthy and Mullen.
And backed out last minute because of health issues. And we were, wow, that's kind of a bummer. Jerry West doesn't make it to the East Coast to do shows very often. And it was kind of great that he was coming. And then a few weeks later, after that, we get word that he passes. You're doing your thing. You're doing your side hustle, right? I get a phone call What's the phone call?
Oh, man. So I see the notification on my phone about 10 minutes before everyone else, the entire planet, gets the notification. Hey, man, sorry. The logo passed away. And I was like, are you sure? Because I hadn't gotten anything on ESPN, and this person doesn't work for any news
Just
places.
sent you a text message.
Sent me a text,
random,
and just mad random out of nowhere. Said, hey, man, sorry. Somebody close to him let me know that he passed. And he knew that I was pissed. That, you know, like he backed out. It was a schedule conflict with the Clippers. That was that's what they said, I swear.
I remember somebody said a health issue.
Yeah,
but whatever, regardless of what it was, doesn't matter.
He didn't come. Yep. So I'm upset. I'm yelling at my phone. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? This can't be. Oh, my God. I'm going to stop. Forget the project. I'm done. I was that upset that I was no longer going to do it. Then one by one, they start getting people. Damn. Yo, did you see that, bro? Damn. So I'm upset. I'm pretty upset. And, you know.
But fast forward to the.
So I fast forward. So later on in the day, so that was around like 9 a.m. East Coast time, around between 9 and 10 that happened. Paulie was like, hey, man, I'm so sorry, because he knew it meant a lot. And you know what's crazy is that when you get that notification that you get your money refunded back, I was like, damn, what did I get refunded back? And I thought about the numbers, and it was like I was going to get him, the HOF 3 times, and the logo. So that's like 3 line items I was asking for. So it was a pretty, big amount of money. So I'm like, damn. So it's later on in the day, around 2 o'clock. So I ride share. That's the side hustle. And Paulie calls me, and we start talking. He's like, hey, man, so sorry. He had just gotten out of the meeting. So he's trying to console me, and I'm just listening. And he's
I was pretty broken up myself. I was pretty
absolutely.
upset too.
So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm picking up somebody right now. He was like, where you at? I was like, New Haven, almost East Haven. So
awesome.
If people know East Haven.
And it's so true.
So East Haven, they're called the Yellow Jackets, and their street signs are blue and yellow. So that's the school colors. And New Haven, usually the signs are either blue and white or, any other color but that. So I'm hitting a street, and I'm looking at my GPS, and I said, holy crap. I said, bro, I got to take a picture of this. So I take a picture. So you have the East Haven, so this street ends, and half of the street is East Haven, the other half is New Haven. So the sign is in blue and yellow, and the other sign is in blue and white. Kind of like the old Laker colors from like the OG, not the purple and yellow. The Minneapolis. Yeah. So the name of the street is called West Street. So this is like, the same day that he passes, right?
The whole thing was just crazy.
So I look at the map, and I see it's a dead end. And I said, oh, man, I'm banging a left. It's a dead end. So then Paulie goes, wouldn't it be something if it was his number? So I get to the dead end, and I'm about to pull a Yui because the person was on the other side of the street. And I look, and I said, oh, the house on the right is 45. When I do the U-turn, a girl's coming out the house, and it says 44. And I said, bro.
I was like, no way.
Bro. He said,
no
way.
I'm telling you right now.
No way.
I'm going to tell you.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I was like, no way. It's 44.
So I said, there's a girl coming down the stairs. Bro, it's 44. So he goes, put the phone on speaker. So the girl gets in the car, and I'm like, excuse me. What address did you just come out of? 44 West Street. This guy, expletive. Screaming at me. The girl's like, what the hell's going on? So here I am. I take the call off speaker, and the first thing he says to me is, you got to go buy lottery tickets right now.
I was like, that's
you were like, bro.
On the day he
passes,
he picks up a girl at 44 West Street.
And
and the sign was Laker colors. Like, you can't make it up. You literally can't make it up.
So,
and that's the God's honest truth. I will post the photo that he texted me. I still have it.
On the day. It's date.
It's date stamped.
And the location.
It's date stamped. It's crazy.
So here we are. We got 2 basketball purists here. We're kind of like,
crazy.
Oh, like, damn, man, this happened. So the next day, I jump in the saddle doing rideshare, and this lady jumps in the car at like 6:15 in the morning, and it was still kind of bright because it was in the summer. And she's like, "How's your day doing, Miguel?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's freaking too early for this." So I'm doing okay. How are you? And she's like, "Oh, what's wrong? Is there something wrong?" So I didn't say anything at first. So then, "You got to match my energy." And I was like, "It's pretty hard to match the energy." She's like, "What happened? Did your dog die or something?" So I said, "Worse than that." I said, "There's this guy. He was the logo for the NBA." I said, do you follow the NBA?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "You know the logo?" And she's like, "Oh, it's the white little shadow thing with the 3 colors." I was like, "Yeah." Well, the guy that's the photo of that guy, he just died yesterday. And I was supposed to get his autograph like 4 months ago. And he canceled. And he passed away yesterday, and I'll never be able to get that sign, that autograph on my sign. And then I told her what happened, a blow by blow. And then she goes, "Do you believe in the Holy Spirit?" I said, "Yep." And went to Catholic school, altar boy, all of that. And then all of a sudden, she just put her hand on my shoulder, and I felt like this energy go through me. And she said, "That was Mr. West telling you to keep going." And I welled up, bro.
It's bananas.
This lady just jumped in my car.
Absolutely bananas.
And here I am.
Put there for some reason.
Yes.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Get her out of my car. Get her out of my car.
Podcast.
She's too much energy at 6 a.m. And at the end of the ride, she got me crying, and I had my rosary on me, and she just said, "You know what? Don't worry about it. You're gonna be okay." And that's him telling you to keep going. Because I told her, "Yeah, I think I'm done with this." And because of that, I was able to say, "Okay, let me get back in the saddle." And then we went to the National. And then Saturday? It's Tiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey, right? New Jersey?
Yeah.
At that place. So we got Nate Tiny Archibald coming up on Saturday. So, like Paulie said, you got to get after it. There's 2 people that I really want to, the 2 oldest living members of the Basketball Hall of Fame. He had a Louis dinner, a fundraiser thing the other night, this past weekend that I didn't go to. It was Lou Carnesecca, and he's 99. He'll turn 100 in January, and Bob Cousy. Those are the 2 oldest. So we need to get after it. But yeah, that Jerry West.
Crazy. That was just, I'll never forget that. Being on the phone with you when you picked that girl up. That was crazy.
Insane.
At the time we're doing this right now, we're recording this episode, it's about 2 weeks before the Hall of Fame induction.
Mm-hmm.
You alluded to the fact that you and I stopped by the Hall of Fame, spoke to one of the curators, kind of brought the sign in so we could see it.
They could see it.
He hadn't seen it before. They took photos with it. It was actually wild. You made a little contact with them. Obviously, the event is in 2 weeks. Is there a plan for you and the Hall of Fame at some point in time to kind of merge this project? Is that kind of the end game, or is there a different end game?
The end game for me is to curate or create another sign that will reside at the Hall of Fame forever, but to do some type of revenue type share with the Hall of Fame, where we could try to get donations and actually throw it back into the community in Springfield. I feel that every kid who lives in Springfield, in the public school system, even parochial or Catholic, everyone should have an opportunity to go to the Hall of Fame. There has never been. I'm a past resident. In the 90s, I lived in Springfield. Made a lot of friends up there, and I basically kind of gave them a plan. But I kind of feel like that needs to be taken to someone at a higher level than at the curator part, because it'll take a lot of it won't take a lot of logistics. The hardest part is to have that. Anything after that, you have a conversation with the entity. They see what I'm about as a person, and that I really care about the game, and I care about the sign, but I also care about the people that are in the hall. And some who haven't been in there. So this is my first public announcement of letting the Hall of Fame know you were almost there with Kenny Sailor's Veterans Committee, University of Wyoming, one of the 5 people that have been said to have created the jump shot, and I would love to see him get in the Hall of Fame. Go Pokes. I had to throw my little 2-second, but to finish the response, I have not been contacted yet by the Hall in terms of a plan for the weekend as of today. So
Are we still trying to get in there?
yes, absolutely.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Whether we got to pay or not, I'm going to get in there.
I'm pretty sure we're going to have to pay.
We'll see. We'll see.
Listen, Moose, you're my guy. You know that.
Yeah,
You are my
absolutely.
brother from another mother.
Same.
I just,
I
to
know.
be able to sit here today and finally get this thing kicked off, and hopefully it's just going to start rolling, and there's
It will.
obviously going to be more stories, right? We're not done.
No, of
I'm
course
going to
not.
be a part of this with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you're willing to drag me along.
No. It's never dragging.
For those people that are listening, okay, and I hope it's 1 million of you. All right, that's kind of the goal. I want everybody in this industry to kind of get a piece of this. The world of collecting is just different for everybody, right? Everybody's favorite piece is not your favorite piece, and you may collect Cy Young Award winners. You may collect members of a certain team. You may be just, you know what? I just
Club.
want Yankees. I just want Boston Celtics. I just want hockey. Whatever it is, that's your thing, and don't let anybody step on it at all. Chase what you want to chase. Chase the guys you want, all right? But do me a favor. If you're at a show in the next couple of years and you see this guy dragging this thing around, because trust me, it gets dragged, all right? It's not that it's heavy. It's just big. It's bulky. He might bump into you online by mistake, right?
But we'll have a combo.
Stop this man. Have a conversation with him. Talk about this thing. Take your picture with it. It's one of one, right? It's not a Victor Wembanyama one of one, and we all understand that. But it's a one of one nonetheless. And it's history and nostalgia, like I mentioned before. And it's pretty cool. He's a fun dude to talk to, all right? Come up and say hi. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you learned something about collecting. We hope we've inspired you to go out and collect. Okay? And lastly, when you see that famous person, the athlete, the actor, the comedian, whoever it is, go up to him, tap him on the shoulder, ask politely, sign this, please. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you.